Hi, my name is Crystal. I've been working in TouchDesigner for about 5 years. I've do tutorials and work as a developer. This is my partner, Brandon.
Hello, I'm Brandon Epperson. Been doing TouchDesigner stuff for a long time, since like 2011 or so.
OG.
And I do a lot of work in the live, either television, news, music performance, music videos, commercials, all this kind of stuff. But generally speaking, a lot more live. Crystal's more installation.
Originally, I did more real-time installation, data visualization for brands. And the last 2 years, we've been working more together. So been doing more live stuff, which is very its own. It's funny because like I feel like when you do real more long-term installations, your network is cleaner. But then when you're doing live stuff, there's a lot of last-minute changes. So when we started working, like we had to kind of meet somewhere in the middle because it was like his network felt like it was really messy to me, and for him, he was really annoyed that I had to go to into all these containers to like decode something. And so like I was really happy once they started having annotation, so we can at least like pretend that we're in a container and stuff.
Yeah, I've been using TouchDesigner long enough, and I originally started in Maximus P and Jitter, and so everything at the top level, giant groups of things that are portions of the thing, but kind of see everything from the top, and lots of wires, and references can be your real enemy when you have a client over your shoulder asking you to change something right now, and you can't find the reference to that thing that.
And I do tutorials for Interactive Immersive HQ, but I also work with Elbers, who is the founder of that. And I would like take a photo of our network, and he's like, "Oh my God, why is your network so messy?" I'm like, "Oh, it's Brandon." like burning me. But we're mainly talking about this project we did earlier this year for Childish Gambino, which was a little photo. But we'll first kind of show some videos of what we did for the show, and it's they call it the Lightfinder, which is 1,000.
Wow. So, what is it? It's 1,024 pixel sticks. It's a 32 by 32 grid. You can just bounce around and stuff. I'll just talk a little. So, it's a 32 by 32 grid of winches. Each stick is 80 pixels. They're all RGB, and then they're on a winch that'll pay out about 50 feet. The motion on the winch is 16-bit. It's 2-channel, and then the pixels themselves, like I said, they're 80 pixels of RGB. So we're just like bouncing in stuff here. This is in the middle of the show. So the height map, all the winch heights are essentially just a big 16-bit grid map. So this is probably one of the best effects of the show, something we spent months on. This is actually 2D video turned into 3D video with some extrusion and multi-camera stuff. And then we're sampling that into a 3D volume. So so this is obviously LED pulse. All the volumetric LED stuff has been like a huge excited. I don't want to call it a fad because it's super cool. But for someone my age, 3D, water, holograms, scrim projections, whatever through the years, volumes just happen to be the thing right now, right? And so Drake's Tour is doing a bunch of LED pulse stuff. Glow Motion is a company that makes a lot of kinetic.
Who made this?
They make a lot of really cool kinetic products. They have triangles and tiles and balls and all that kind of stuff. And they actually made this 2-meter stick. So each one of these sticks is about 6 foot high. They're 2 meters. And so we needed to make a volumetric solve that was, I don't know how many of you have any experience with tours and large artists like this, but you need to be able to do everything kind of fast. And I would say the most challenging thing about all this was just making it work like right now. Like when they called, there was some of Joseph Pell's stuff was out there. Tommy Etkin is a really good friend of ours, and I want to give Tommy a shout out. Both Ray TK and T3D from Joseph
This
Pell
is like a small pot of it.
involved in this. But so they came, Tobias Rylander, the designer, came to me, and he's who did the last Beyonce tour, did a bunch of theater stuff, but they had this grid, and they knew how to turn it into a pyramid, and they knew how to do a couple of things, but their question was to be able to solve both 3D material and 2D material inside of the volume, but then be able to move it and solve it in real time. So actually play that again, just pause it. So this is some of the science of this type of thing. So you want to be able to maintain a flat line as you move all your stuff around. And so we have a virtual 3D environment that's being sampled all the time. And then the motion where the sticks are in space, they're live sampled with a ray tracing method. Now, granted, this came together pre-Pops and when Pops was still not even alpha yet. And I talked to Derivative about it, and they were like, no, do not use Pops on this show. Like they wouldn't let me. And I actually hung out with Jarrett one day for like a whole day in the office at Derivative and just like going through a bunch of different techniques. And I don't know how many of you guys are familiar with the original LED pulse technique, but basically you have so many cameras. You have like 80 cameras or whatever, for whatever resolution of your thing is. And we just had to try to come up with a better way. Basically, it was either that because nothing would run in real time, or you try to process a 3D object that if you want to make the slightest change to it, you're looking at like hours of re-render of an SDF and like all that kind of stuff. So what everybody wanted was a holographic head, to be honest. Like the ask came was like, we want his head, we want it live if possible. If not, he'll kind of lip sync along with it. But went through a lot of different tests, and I guess one of the big secrets of this whole thing was that like we tried 3D and we did full body scans, did a 3D model of Glover, and it just didn't look good.
The resolution wasn't enough to really see what it was.
Yeah, this is 3D right here. This is actually a full 3D model with his mouth as a mesh and all that stuff. And we're calculating all the intersections of the points as the FBX is playing, but without the full fill-in of an SDF the same way as you get like a SOP or something. You're basically just getting the shell. I even tried iterating multiple shells, do like 4 or 5 copies of it, like all inside, try to fill in the density and stuff. It was all just messy. And then we started playing around with this method of taking the 2D video and extruding it and pulling it out thick and using some of the light and color characteristics to just make choices about the depth. And then, to be honest, it just looked immediately so much better. Also, something I'll say about these type of volume things is the shape that the volume's in when you're trying to put that particular thing in it kind of governs everything about how good it looks. There's some things that would look really good in a noise field, and so other things that would look really good in just a big square field. This is the actual show. Probably, yeah, show your sheet here. This is actually good.
So there's
like 20-something tracks in the... I had it zoomed up just so you could see some of the... Yeah.
So, there's about 30 songs, and not all of them have the Lightfinder. All the ones with the photos are, so this is a nice way for us to keep track of everything. And what's kind of helpful is, so when we started, because we have the content that's on it, but also the movement, and kind of so there's, for the movement where we're using two chops to send to DMX, and then kind of did this chart so we can also see like different patterns, what can we do with them. And then even for example, this one, if you invert it, then the pyramid is inverted up and down, but it takes about 15 seconds.
Took a while, yeah.
about 15 seconds for a winch from the top to get to the bottom. So that's also, if you do it too fast, then it never gets to reach the whole path. So it's also it's interesting because it was a science experiment. We're trying to figure out what works, what looks good on it, and like it was kind of fun trying to find this language for it. And then we were in rehearsals for about like 3 weeks total or a month. And it was really intense. It was like 1 p.m. to 7 a.m. days.
Yeah. Just a quick, like, if you're, just so everyone's following here. So these height maps, where you see white is fully paid out, the winch all the way as low as it's going to go to the floor. Where you see black is winch at the ceiling. So this type of like square diamond thing ends up being a pyramid coming down from the ceiling like this that we can color. This circle ramp, for example, ends up being just like sine wave motion, like in the field.
Yeah, and then in the stadium they had it so people are sitting all over. There's 3 stages. So what was nice, so things that are like a slant, it'll have it be rotating, so everyone gets to see the image, but also since the sticks have LEDs on both sides, the view from the bottom is also just like a mirrored one from the top. And it's really nice show where sometimes actually the nosebleed seat is, I thought, like the best seat.
Yeah, seriously. This show is not one where you wanted to be on the floor necessarily.
It was also cool on the floor.
It was cool on the floor, just the vibe. And forgive me here, it's funny, so I'll give you just a quick nerd out on the show structure. These are all the songs over here. I don't know if we're really going to have time to go through. We had to build all kinds of tools for recording to time code and stuff, but each one of the songs in here will have a pattern. Here, I guess.
So also when we're in rehearsals, we're together. So oftentimes kind of we don't know what we don't know. So while we're figuring out like, oh, we need to figure out a good way to do time coded because we're gonna just package this. We go to the first 2 shows and just have an operator, but we don't want like to also have other softwares open, just like make it as plug and play as possible. So often it's like he's like, oh, I need to figure out something. I'll try and make a tool. I've drop in and drop off.
Basically, we have to replace Ableton. Yeah. No, I mean, long story short, it's like a lot of things I would use Ableton for when it comes to just time code and tracking things to music and all that kind of stuff. When you're sending out a system that's going to go all the way around the world to New Zealand and Australia, and you're going to get phone calls if anything's wrong with it, the less amount of softwares and the less extra computers that can kind of all be talking to one another, the better. So we ended up starting, I was like, okay, how do I make what's already in the Grande May or in Ableton for recording like behavior? Like I just want to listen to the song and just hit buttons and like busk, and it just didn't exist. So yeah, she ended up making some tools, just watching me struggle. And it was like, here, let me make something that can record.
Because you're also like, there's seven of us in the lighting desk and the D3 guy, and then they have like a whole lighting desk, and we have like a mouse. And
yeah,
like,
we're back there. and no controllers or anything. Like, so here I have the previs open, and this is just to give you a sense. So I was actually pleasantly surprised when we first started building it out, and we made this previs. I was scared because, you can run these variables a lot of different ways, and sometimes I'll be working on something that looks kind of like whatever, and then I crank these values way up, and I'm like, oh my God, it looks great. And you just don't know. Like, until we got there, all these winches, everything were being made while we were building the software. So we actually didn't know what it was going to look like until we finally got in the room. And when we did, it was actually looked better than I'd expected. It looked better than the previs. One of the things I was really curious about was occlusion, with one stick blocking the ones behind it and all that kind of stuff. These were at a 1 foot interval. So where did my older photo videos go here? Yeah, so as tight as you can possibly space these is actually those winches are it's like 12 inches one direction and 13 inches the other way. And to be honest, any tighter, like if you start to bring them tighter, you start blocking the ones behind them. So I think some fun here. There's a lot of eye candy out there. I think some really cool things about this that I was proud of and impressed by. We processed everything as textures. So there's 512 universes. Each stick, there are only 2 sticks fit on a universe. There are almost 190 channels each stick. And then for 1,024, 2 per universe, we have 512 universes. It's actually more than you can even do on a Grand MA. If you max out one whole desk, a Grand MA full. And funny thing, TouchDesigner, this was only, I mean, it runs on my laptop. Like, I could run the whole rig on my laptop, and I could have run probably 5 times as many sticks off of 1 gigabit Ethernet line, which was also crazy. We weren't even running 10G, running Ploprex. But one of the fun things about this for me was forcing myself to get all the incoming DMX into textures, so that once I got it here, then I can blend my own input data. So these height maps you see here, right? This is that rolling sine wave that you see in just corner to corner. Once I got the lighting desk into a 16-bit texture, now I can use all the different compositing methods that are in TouchDesigner to blend the lighting desk input with my input. And we had some really fun stuff where the lighting desk, I just made it so that we all had control all the time. And so the desk would grab groupings of things and make a shape that he liked. And then I would be able to see his input here as a texture, use that as a multiply mask, and actually not send any color to any sticks that he had control of at the same time. And just little quirky things like that we really didn't discover until like 5 a.m. sitting in the room just messing around, and oh yeah, that's actually my favorite. With Talk My Shit, or we're somewhat unprepared for this, by the way. It was something where, this was our baby for months all through the summer, and this is
So this one was done with the lighting.
This entirely lighting desk. Yeah, on this particular song, we did nothing. And so we had given the lighting desk 16-bit control over the height, and then he had each fixture was a single color. He actually didn't have every pixel because there's just too many channels. But it was really fun for him to like strobe patterns and things. Yeah, so this is bonfire.
Here's the pyramid.
Yeah, and this is literally just inverted pyramid, some flame textures from a stock video, and then just strobing. A lot of stuff is just all about what you're doing to the music and just kind of how it relates to what's going on. I honestly, this is one of these projects where the pre-production and like just sitting with Tommy Etkin and trying to figure out like how to make something that didn't really exist yet. And also everyone was hyper protective during this time. Like a lot of people are under contracts with other companies, and there's all these other competitor things going on. So you're kind of all doing overlapping work to each other and trying not to say much to each other as you're doing it. But yeah, the prep that got us to the point to where now we just throw content at it and throw shapes at it. Once we got to that point, it was like a relatively straightforward show to program. And once we got the sampling, the volume sampling to run fast, then everything else is just like tops and chops, and like just programming behavior. Now we did what I loved recording these previses, or at one point we were like thinking of trying to use some of these previses even in the side IMAX screens and stuff like that. But this is another one, actually. This one is a lighting desk. So all that motion and the color and stuff you saw there was all lighting desk. We would also do some fun stuff where later in this track, but I guess I didn't record that part. Because the lighting desk didn't have per pixel control, we would throw up something that was very textured, and then let the lighting desk take over motion or, something other. But I guess one important thing to say here is like this toured without us. There was, in the beginning, they wanted it to tour without even an operator, which was really scary. Just because you have all these things that can come down on top of performers, and just the checkout. Oh, we actually didn't show the checkout program yet. Just the daily checkout has like just very specific things that you need to do, right?
'Cause each different stadiums have different height, and then so you have to make sure the winches don't hit any of the dancers or hit the stage, and also the corners that the audience will come and like be able to reach it. So had to have, and also sometimes there's like dead pixels. They were doing 4 cities each week, and there were like 8-hour drives per city, these kind of things. So I was like, I don't want to live on a bus. So, things happen, and like also think people rush. They like get there at 9, and the show opens at 6, and then the show ends at like 10, and then they have to just pack up and like go back on the bus, and then like
so things break.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they break all kinds of stuff. This little tool we have here is to just bring a single stick down, right? And you end up with these textures because that's all TouchDesigner is eventually reading. But what we found was, tools like this where we need to bring up one row. We need to go one row at a time every single day. Bring that row down. Just make sure there's no dead pixels. Make sure it's whatever color. This. I feel like we spent more time on this kind of stuff, than the actual solving of the really.
We were leaving. We were like, oh, we have to make it as easy for
robust.
people.
Yeah. Because there was one day where things got tangled, and because if you drop 124 sticks onto the deck and they lose weight, so then they all turn, and then someone goes, oh my God, and tries to take them to the top again, and then they tangle, and then they twist and start pulling each other out of the winches and breaking and snapping.
So like when you have them down, you're supposed to like leave it, untangle it, and slowly creep it up. But if there's no one there to tell them that, then
yeah, things go crazy. You mentioned the camera stuff before. So every single day we come in, open these limits. These 2 limits here were essentially an outer perimeter and an inner perimeter that it would be different by 25 feet. Like some days we would be paying out like 40, 50 feet of the winches, and then some days it was 25 feet. And
yeah,
how to try to get all the different shapes in the show to scale properly. And you see here, it's hard to see it here, but this perimeter winch, something that's higher, it's just literally because it was bigger than the stage, the grid, and people could just reach up and grab the stick if we let it down too low. So there's a lot of just quirky.
There's certain looks that like Donald Glover wanted to just be like right above his head, so we also just like need to make sure it's like not too low.
Yeah, there's one track in the show that it stopped right here, like directly above his head every night, all 1,024 of them, and they come down full speed, the whole thing, and just stop right over his head, and he looks up at it and like reaches for it, this whole thing. So it's like, yeah, there's moments like that every day.
We watch it live, we're like
hyper checking everything. I guess the show, we don't have a lot of time to go super deep, but into safeties. So this is just a quick thing of like you see this runway here, and this like barely slightly opaque layers. These are camera lanes. These are actually rail cameras that were flying up and down along the edge of the stage, and we had to occasionally make these little safety zones. This kind of phallic looking thing here. This is actually like a runway. It was an area where no matter what we send the height map, keep like this one particular area high enough for him to walk under and like walk inside the box and stuff like that. So, it's like top. It's all like it touches in our 88. Like we can done a lot of stuff. But yeah, I feel like we should. Anybody got any questions or anything? Because there's so much here that it honestly could be its own tutorial to walk through.
Yeah. I think like the first phone call was around May, and then we were in tech rehearsal in July. So we were in pre-production where like Tom Ekins and like a lot with Brandon, they were kind of setting up and kind of sending walk through previous videos. I was like, we think this works.
Honestly, it was honestly scary. It is no lie. Like there was a couple of weeks where I was saying to them, to his manager and the people, I'm like, I know I can make this work, but like it's janky still, and you just got to trust me.
And even like when we're on site, like there was certain things like the direction was wrong.
Yeah,
and
flipped
we can't
axes.
even really tell
like,
because the resolution's like not like clear enough, and like some math things have to figure out. And it's just like, okay, well, we are here for 2 weeks, and like everyone's gonna wait on us, so it's like we just don't sleep until like figures out.
Yeah,
everyone's really like sweet, and it was a really good team. So.
Yeah, it was a great team. Yeah, I would say the tricky thing was it was definitely something initially where they came to me and I said to them, I was like, well, this doesn't exist, and I have a small list of people that you can go pay to do this. Pretty much all going to charge you somewhere between like 80 and 100 grand. And they were like, well, we need to see a demo video like tomorrow, or we're not going to buy it, you know? And then so me, Matthew Reagan, Ian, Tommy, Jarrett, all of us kind of like head down, and it was just like, well, what can we show them that at least gets the point across, even though it's not even solved yet? And so it was about a week or two, we put together a previs of like, this is what we want it to look like.
And also try and communicate to the producers, like, why is there like pre-production money? It's like, because this is not built.
It doesn't exist. Yeah, it doesn't exist yet. Yeah.
Yeah. Any other questions?
Huh.
Yeah.
The sampling, well, so one important thing to mention about these winches, they don't tell you where they are. There is no two-way communication that says I'm this far down or up. So that's one huge like science fair that happened. Or once I got them in the air and started timing the acceleration and kind of all that stuff. So the sampler, it's all ray marching. And to be honest, like what Yosef has out now, so Ray TK and T3D, they put out like a dual tutorial of volume sampling stuff. That's actually newer than this. So this is entirely shader based. Vertex. Well, we did both a vertex shader and we tried a point or a fragment shader and a vertex shader, and we had different results as far as how much noise would show up in some of the artifacts. But if you wouldn't want to use this now, like you would just want to go get the newest stuff that Tommy and Yosef have been working on together, because yeah, this is me and Tommy just like making it work. One thing I say that was kind of turned out lucky, the early version of this volume shader, now the beauty of it is it runs 60 FPS, bang solid, and you can put anything in it. Like anything in that volume will sample, just start throwing sops in there and playing around. And at that time, nothing did that. But it would create little artifacts, little noisy sparkles. Now, the whole vibe of this tour was broken technology. And so we just got lucky. Like we started showing them these like morphing spheres and some of these diamonds and stuff, and they would have the little sparkle there, and they were like, oh, I kind of like this like glitch thing. And then so we started leaning into it. We started like putting like effects on it and stuff like that. But we actually just got lucky with what we had that worked the fastest. Yeah. It just kind of was fine that it was a little glitchy, you know. Well, the winches have a pretty cool, like even if you jump them to a drastically different position, they have only a certain speed that they'll go. But no, so they had us doing time code stuff in the beginning, but ultimately by the end of the whole process, I much preferred to offload all the time code into the lighting desk or into this guy's world and just then let them send commands, rather than deal with timecode and TouchDesigner. Now, timecode and TouchDesigner has gotten way better, and it's cool, but ultimately, the lighting desk does it so well. You know, it's like it's such a good state machine. Oh, I will say, animation comp, something I had not pulled out in like 10 years. Animation comp being driven by frame number to actually give you curves works quite well. And we ended up going back and like replacing some things that, especially with the winches. Because you want to be able to jump around in the song at different locations, you know. So
Any other questions?
Yeah. The actual hardware nitty gritty. Yeah, glow motion. I mean, that's I can't remember what they call it. It's just called like a pixel bar or something. But yeah, all the data and the power, everything just comes down the line with the winch. It's just a tiny black cable. Um, yeah, I mean, I don't know much to say other than glow motion. They're like, so yeah, this glow motion's website here. Glow motion just makes all kinds of kinetic stuff. And there's some shows here that you'll recognize, that you'll know their work. They do huge shit. They do the Super Bowl. They do, all kinds of stuff. And the winches are Belgian, I think. I think they're European. They're Belgian. I won't get into that, into who owns all that stuff and the rights to them. But it's a good product. I mean, and actually the version that we're using, Glow Motion in the U.S. is based in Nashville, and they're really solid. Actually, I gotta say, we beat the crap out of them.
We actually we worked on a project that got kind of
it was a debate that got canceled.
Yeah. And then, so that was the first thing that was going to use glow motion. It was just like 7 sticks and stuff. And that's how we met the people at Glow Motion. And then afterwards, they were bidding for Childish Gambino project and like called him up and was like, if we can do this, like, can you do it? And that's how we got this job. So something, with the 7 sticks, he was like, really liked the workflow we were doing for TouchDesigner, and that was like enough to give us 1,000 sticks. And it was really fun because even after the project, it was like one of these weird, like, very inspiring, challenging, and it's just like a canvas that we wouldn't be able to do anywhere else. It's like $1 million toy that we got to like just play with. And it was like even after the show, like we were done, but we were still like trying to improve it for them to use because it was just
our baby.
Yeah.
Yeah. When you just do the math, it's 1,000. If each one is $1,200, I mean, you're already at $1.5 million, just like that fast. So yeah, when at 5 a.m. when you're still sitting there trying to program a song, you have to a little bit just be like, I have this giant toy I get to play with, like as late as I want, and they feed me and shit. Like,
yeah.
I was actually looking for "Got to Be" here. Yeah, here we go.
That's cool.
And so here you see the shifts. The plane of the sticks is actually shifting from one side to the other, just to give a different side of the crowd. So the show in general, it cuts the whole arena in half with a big set of like 300 lasers or whatever it is, and the lasers actually go through the Lightfinder. We line them up so that they don't hit. But with both the cruising face and this got to be face, we turn the angle so it faces upstage, downstage, left, right. So.
Okay.
Yeah, we're waiting.
Sorry. No, thank you.
Okay, thanks.